I'm Steve Phillips, and today on this video it's not going to be really exciting type things. It's going to be some of the things I found at the Selma, Alabama in the river over the last over 40 years diving down there, and there's no rare belt buckles in this pile, but it's about tools today, and it's more about where they came from and who used them than it is just what they are, just a tool. But I'm gonna show them and tell about different things, and hope you find it educational. I try to make these few videos that I ever do pretty educational, so people can learn from some of the stuff I found, and maybe some of the mistakes I made over the years in preserving things and ID and things that you may not know what they are. During the war between the states, Selma, Alabama, was the second largest producer of ordnance for the Confederacy. They produced all kinds of stuff that was made out of iron, from the strongest cannons that were made in the war to, I think they made about 4 ships there during the war, including the Tennessee. And so some of the stuff today just might have to do with a little bit of anything, and some of it may not be from the war, but I think it is. And just common things like this. This is a file, some sort of file, and all relic hunters have found files all over the place, but this is a Confederate file because it was used at the Confederate, either the Navy Yard or the Arsenal or one of the many suppliers at Selma. This is one type file. Here's another file. I say it's a file. Looks like a file, but there's no file marks, so that may have been they were making something else out of that one. Not sure exactly what that one is. These are files. You can see the file marks, and over the years I found lots of files down there, different styles. But with these things, it's not what it is so much as the provenance where it came from, what it was used for. Here's a little bitty file, triangular file. But there's about a dozen files that I kept. I try to keep anything that I can think possibly had to do with the war, and I try to preserve the relics where they'll hold up. They made there's another one of those. They made so much stuff, and we're still learning. When we find something, we try to save it. Here's a hammer out of the river. Now, whether that's from the war or not, I don't know, but since where it came from, it probably is. It's a little bit different. It's sort of hex shaped in there, but it's a nail puller. I don't know whether it's that old or not on that one. Here's another style of hammer. Okay, here's they took some of the iron and they made different kinds of tools out of it. Here's just a common chisel. Here's a chisel they made out of a bolt. Let me see, there's a couple of interesting type of chisel. Here's a bigger chisel. And then this looks like a chisel, but it's not. You have to look real close at the end, and you see that groove that's cut in the end here? This is a caulking tool that's used building ships. So this is an interesting relic to me because they built the famous Tennessee and 3 more gunboats at Selma, and I think they built a submarine there too, or at least part of it was built at Selma. But this little groove here is where they put the caulking material and beat it into between the boards and all to make it not leak. And a lot of time looking at metal, you can look in it and you can see these lines of flux. When you see lines like that, you know it's wrought iron, and you know that it's designed to bend and not shatter and break like cast iron would. Here's another chisel, a commercial made chisel. And here's another type of something. I think it had to do with working wood or something. Found several of these plumb bobs in the river over the years. There's 1, 2, 3. Just a plumb bob, except these are Confederate plumb bobs. So the provenance. You find this looks like a piece of junk, and I didn't know what it was for a long time, but this is part of what they call a crow's foot battery, and it had to do with making the electricity for a telegraph line. It's from the river at Selma. Here's a little wrench. Now I don't know what everything is, what is from the war or not, but I think it is. Some sort of thing that had a piece of wood that went in here and got fastened in. It would be for moving something. It could have been from making something to do with making the iron, or it could have been something from the steamboats. I don't know on that. There's that. Here's a couple of other things that were used, like loading the cotton bales. This big iron piece here would have stuck into a long piece of wood, and they'd use this to hook and to push. And here's one. Here's another one. I don't know what you call that, but you could hook onto with it and pull. Or they loaded the steamboats down there at Selma. Here's a couple other tools that would have had a piece of wood here, like a straight piece of wood, and then this would be just like a meat hook, but it's not for meat. I think it's for moving cotton bales or something. Would find these in the river. This is a tool that would be used by blacksmiths usually, or anybody else handling hot metal. It's broken here, but it was, I've seen them used around forges. I imagine they'd have had wood on these, but I don't know whether they did or not. Here's a big wrench. Once again, you can easily see the lines of flux. Know it's handmade. It's wrought iron. It bends, and it's a wrench, a Confederate wrench. Here's a little thing that interests me. found a few years ago. What it is a homemade broken caliper. This piece would have slid. It would have had another lip here similar to that one, and this piece would have slid, and this way they would measure maybe a bullet's diameter or whatever they wanted to measure, but it's made out of wrought iron. You can see the lines of flux. It's homemade, and it's from the river down there, so it's a Confederate homemade caliper. Pretty neat. Of course, every once in a while I find something that's war related. This is 2 parts of a pistol from the river down there, cylinder. Found lots of different kinds of hatchets or axe heads. This is one type of hatchet or whatever. Here's another one very similar to that other one. It's wrought iron. You can see where they applied a different kind of material right here and beat the wrought iron down to sort of make it weld together there. Probably takes the edge better. Here's another one, a little different style. And this one is my favorite. I really like this one. I don't know whether this is Civil War time or whether it looks like Indian trade goods to me, but the wood is eroded off here, and this is beat down, but it's a little bitty tomahawk, or maybe it's a tomahawk, maybe it's just for cleaning up stuff at the works, but it was in the river, and I like it best. Here's a tool. I'm sure some people know what this tool is better than me, because I don't, but I have similar things to that I use on my farm, but this is from the river. Here's another one of the tools like the blacksmith would use, all bent up. Here's another one of those. So they were moving a lot of hot metal down there. Here's another type of, similar to the caliper, except this is, I think they call them a divider or compass. It's from the river. And they used to make their drawings and stuff. This is just a long piece. It's got a hook on the end. I think they probably used this around some of the foundries just to clean out some of the flux or stuff that built up. I don't know what, it's just a tool they made and used. This one here, I think was probably used about like that other one. Just, you know, you want to stay away from the heat and the fire and the glow of the molten metal, and yet they have to clear things to make it work. Here's a little thing that I don't know what it is. It's got a slot cut here. Looks similar to a bung that would go in a barrel, except I don't think this is what this is. I think this is more like something that had to do with making, I think it had to do with making fuses, because it's about the same size as a paper time fuse in here, and it may have had something to do with smoothing out the wood of a wood fuse holder. I don't know. Here's another one of those hooks, and this one I need to retreat. It's probably preserved 40 years ago, and I didn't do it right, and I didn't have the right materials, and so it's starting to flake. Now, I'm pretty good about preserving relics, but I got so many that some of the old stuff is not preserved very well. And here's another type of hammer, some sort of hammer from the river. Here's another little tool they made, homemade, beat out. Looks like it comes to a chisel edge. Here's some tools that somebody that works with wood or something could maybe tell me what they are. Looks like something that would cut a hole in wood, but here it is. What it is and what it's used for, I don't know. And then here's one that's smaller, similar to that one. I really don't know what they did with those. And they're not supposed to have ever made any firearms at Selma. But I've found so many, a lot of firearm parts in the river, and some of them have been unfinished, which means they made it there. Here's a trigger assembly from the river. Trigger's there, this piece is jammed up. Here's another trigger part. Here's another one. Here's another one. Now, over the years, I've been trying to actually record what they did, at Selma in particular, but other places too, and lots of stuff is not written down. But you learn from the relics you find and study them as best you can. This one is a lock plate. This lock plate is from the river. I don't see it here, but I have a lock plate in one of my cases that was never drilled. The holes were never drilled. So obviously if they weren't making guns there, they were sure making gun parts. And just while we're here, I'm going to show you how things are found. And let me get, this is a canister ball, pretty good sized canister ball from the river, all cleaned up and preserved. This is the way a canister ball is quite often found in the river, with a rock stuck to it. And this one I preserved without cleaning, because also stuck to it right there is a Girardi fuse. Girardi fuse is a great Confederate invention that allowed them to change a time fuse to a percussion fuse just in a second. And that's a Confederate-made Girardi fuse stuck in this matrix around this canister ball. And I got a couple more examples like that I like to leave just the way they were found. Here's a piece of a broken brick, a canister ball, and stuck on this side is what we call golf tee, but it's really a type of primer to fire a cannon, like it's similar to a quill primer, and about the only place those are found is Selma. I think they may have been for ships use, for naval use, but that's the way it looks. And I just kept that intact like that. Here's a smaller either case shot or canister ball with another one of those primers stuck in it. Well, I think that's all I want to show right now today. I appreciate you folks watching my videos. I hope that they're entertaining to you and that you learn something from them. I advise you relic hunters to learn to be scuba divers. I was a diver for 52 years, and it opens up another world to you. It gives you a lot of opportunities. And if you like my videos, how about telling some of your friends? I don't have many people that look at them. I think they're interesting. Thank you.